This guy is not a sympathetic character. He's not a well-rounded moral character. Catcher in the Rye, he starts off immediately talking about how everybody's a phony, great book, but you have to be skeptical of him as a narrator in order to understand the story. Crime and Punishment, your lead character kills somebody within about 80 pages. Sorry about that. Crime, you would have guessed that, right? Yeah. Don't give away. Why are you giving away the end of Usual Suspects? Yes, okay, would it be cognitive dissonance producing to have a story where the bad guy winds up being somebody different than you think it would be? Absolutely. Absolute twist endings and stuff, yeah. Movies, The Grand Illusion, which we'll watch in class, which is always sort of saying, you think this is the good guy, you think this is the bad guy, we're going to flip it up on you, and blur the lines between the good guys and bad guys, the in-groups and the out-groups. The Graduate, have you seen The Graduate? It's a great film, right? Film partly in Berkeley. I love this film. And in the film, you have sympathy for this guy and this love story that he has, even though he's already had an affair with a woman he falls in love with a mother. So this is a very strange, almost Oedipal kind of scenario. Pulp Fiction, right? Your lead characters are funny, you relate to them, you enjoy them, and they're killers, they're hired contract killers. And now, seemingly, every other film that comes out is a Pulp Fiction ripoff where your lead characters are hired killers. Sideways, who's your hero in that? Paul Giamatti. How could that possibly be the case? It makes no sense, but you're rooting for him, right? You want him to do well, despite his self-loathing and disgusting characteristics and whatnot. Scarface, movie Scarface. You find yourself probably rooting for Al Pacino, and they even give him a moral side, right? He won't kill children, But he'll kill like dozens and dozens of adults if he can get more cocaine. So that's a messed up movie. Okay, so what are some examples from art? Indulge me here while I get to try to pretend like an art history professor, a very bad art history professor. This painting by Marcel Duchamp, Nude Descending a Staircase, debuted at some art expo in Paris, I think early this century. Those of you who are art history majors are laughing at me. I'm sure I'm getting the details wrong. Laugh away, that's fair. Now, supposedly, when this was revealed at this art expo, there was a riot. Can you imagine that? That's how seriously they take art in France. That people were like tearing their hair out, fighting one another, because they couldn't handle the dissonance. They were just blown away. They were like, this is not art. Like, oh my God, you've challenged everything I thought I knew about the world. So why does this create cognitive dissonance? It's abstract. And I think the big reason was supposedly you can't clearly see the nude descending the staircase. Okay? Kind of, but not really. It's not at all representational. It's not even impressionistic. It's abstract. Okay. What about this? Right? This is classic. You know the name of this? Salvador Dali. Do you know the name of the painting? Persistence of memory. Right on. What causes cognitive dissonance about this? Like what doesn't? Yeah, everything about it. Okay. Cool. Yeah. The melting clocks, the ants, whatever that freaky eye thing is. Definitely. By the way, if you ever see this, I think it's at the Met, New York. I would say. Do you know where it is? The MoMA? Okay. It's tiny. It's weirdly tiny. It's like a little bigger than a postcard. So that's way bigger than it. Okay. This one by I believe René Magritte. This is a surrealist painting. What does this mean when translated to English? This is not a pipe. Why does that cause cognitive dissonance? Okay. Right. Okay. Question in back? Question in back? No. Okay. This one. Who did this? Anybody know who did the painting? Exactly. Roy Lichtenstein. I love this guy. I have this painting in my office, actually. What causes cognitive dissonance about this? Right? Might be a painting, like a lithograph. I don't know the difference. I'm not a proper art history professor. What causes cognitive dissonance about it? In order to read it, you have to undo its message, right? If it's this person peering into the room we're in saying, I can see the whole room and there's nobody in it, for that to even be read, you'd have to be in the room that he's peering into, seeing him, and he'd have to see you. So by definition, there's somebody in the room. Who's this? Right. Rothko. What causes cognitive dissonance about this? Exactly. You could paint this, right? Or see, I really think you could paint this, yeah, right. Weirdly, like, Rothko's a real acquired taste. When I first saw it, I was like, that is bullshit. That is not art, I can paint that, blah, 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 And actually, now I really like Rothko. I think it's good stuff. This is a sculpture, again, by our friend Marcel Duchamp, the one who did Nude Descending a Staircase. And he submitted this to some art expo thing where he was invited to submit something, and it's called Fountain. And what causes cognitive dissonance about this? It's a freaking urinal. It's not a fountain. And at a high level, this was one of those kind of landmark, like Nude Descending a Staircase, painting. This was one of those landmark pieces of art where people were like, that isn't art. Like, I don't buy that that's art. With Rothko, you're like, well, that's a painting. There's paint involved. I think I could do it, but it looks kind of cool, whatever, With this, you're like, no, he took a urinal off the wall. He wrote some other dude's name on it, or whatever, Arma, and then called it something it isn't. This is really not art, And it's one of those things where he's like challenging you, like, what is art? Anyway. Yeah. So, and actually, you can see a reproduction of this. Has anybody ever seen this? There's like 5 of them or something, I think. Where can you see this? At SF MoMA? Is that what you said? Did you say Stockholm? Where? Oh. Right, and somebody just. Right, okay, so somebody destroyed one, I think, with like a hammer or something, I want to say. Somebody who was outraged that he was defining the obvious definition of art. But I believe that you can see it at the SF MoMA in San Francisco. So go over there, see it. It's even better in person. It's not, it's exactly what it looks like, but it's famous, so that's why people go to art museums, right? So, yeah, yes, sir, you have a question? Yes, Andy Warhol's paintings of virtually anything, really, but yeah, especially the Campbell soup cans, where it's just a representational, realist picture of a Campbell soup can. What's art about that? That's the point, Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so these are examples of cognitive dissonance and things that create cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is uncomfortable, right? That's why we consider these things high art. That's why you don't have Marcel Duchamp's fountain on your wall. You have, something that looks better, because it produces an enormous amount of dissonance. It's very hard to understand why it's even art. So, dissonance reduction. What do people do when cognitive dissonance strikes, like fever or disease? When people find that their cognitions are at odds or somehow inconsistent, they seek to resolve that dissonance and create consonance. They don't do this consciously. Their brain just does it in the normal course of thinking and perception and cognition. So how do you resolve dissonance between two thoughts? Let's call them A and B, and for some reason they're logically contradictory. And now we'll get a few examples. So one thing you can do is you can stop believing one of the thoughts. So you can disregard one of the cognitions. Alternatively, you could flip your belief in A or B to become logically consistent. If A or B are logically inconsistent, you can start believing not B or not A and make them consistent. Or you can distort one to fall in line with the other, sort of shift and change A or B so that it's less inconsistent with the other one that it's contradictory with. Or you can add an additional cognition that somehow resolves the conflict. And these are considered the 4 kind of main ways that you resolve cognitive consistency or consonance in the face of dissonance. Disregard, change belief, distort, or add. So now it'd be useful to do some examples. Let's do that. Okay, so for example, a friend of yours says something that's offensive to you. What could you do? Cognitively, you're likely to do one of the following, according to cognitive dissonance theory. So yeah, you find this offensive, but the person is your friend who you like and respect, so this creates cognitive dissonance. So one thing you can do is you can disregard. You can disregard the offending comment, or you disregard the friendship. You're probably more likely, one guiding principle of cognitive dissonance theory, you're more likely to do the one that's sort of easier to do. So if you're strong friends with a person, you're more likely to disregard the offensive comment. And I would say, most of the time, that's what happens, right? Your friend says something offensive, and you sort of go, okay, and you hope they don't do it again. I don't know if that's what you should do, but that's probably the thing that happens most often. Another thing you can change. You can adopt the offensive belief, or you could change your view of your friend. You can change one of these cognitions that's at odds. This person's my friend, that's an offensive comment. You could change this person's my friend, they're less my friend, or this was actually not that offensive of a comment. Or it's not offensive at all, I'm actually going to adopt that offensive belief and make it inoffensive to me. Distort. You could pretend your friend meant something else. Maybe you misheard her, or you could add a new thought. Maybe your friend was having a bad day, something like that. You come up with some new cognition that resolves the dissonance. So here's another one. For example, you think you're good at basketball, but you get beat in one-on-one. This is I've never experienced this, but this is some sort of hypothetical. I read about this in a book, and it sounds terrible. That would be terrible. So this creates cognitive dissonance for you. You think you're fantastic at basketball, of course you're right, and then you get beaten one-on-one. What can you do? You could disregard. You could disregard or forget the incident. That's what I've apparently done. You could change your cognition. You could revise your view of your abilities. You could say, I'm not that great at basketball after all. You could distort. You could explain away the outcome. You could say, I'm having a bad day. My opponent cheated. They double dribble. I'm getting a winning point, etc. Alternatively, you could add a new cognition. You could maybe seek out new games that you're sure to win that then restore your cognitive consistency. Adding cognitions of like, oh, I may have lost, to Jeremy, but I beat Jake and Nick. A very literal example from my growing up. Jeremy was very good. Okay, so here's another example. You think you're very healthy, right? You live in the Bay Area, you're an undergraduate, you probably do think you're healthy, and you're probably right. But your doctor says you're very unhealthy. It's a weird example, but anyway, okay. So what doctor would do that, right? Like, you're very unhealthy. So you could disregard. You could disregard your doctor's assessment. Just pretend it didn't happen. That's what I would do, and that's what we encourage here. You could change. You could revise your view of your health to say, I'm less healthy than I think I am. You take into account your doctor's advice. You could distort. You could reinterpret your doctor's words. Well, my doctor said that, but he was thinking about, my aorta, not my whole body. Therefore, I am still healthy. You could add a cognition. You could adopt new practices maybe that then allow you to again feel healthy. You say, well, I thought I was healthy. My doctor said I was unhealthy, but now I run 6 miles a week, and so now I am healthy again. I can believe that again. Another example. You love your partner, but she or he is always criticizing you. Your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, partner, what have you. So what could you do? You could disregard. You could try to ignore the criticisms. Have you been in a relationship like that? I have. And it wasn't funny. I don't know why everyone was laughing at first. You could change. You could revise your view of yourself or your partner. That would be a healthy thing to do, probably. The partner one. If they're criticizing you all the time, perhaps revise your view of them. Well, unless they're right. You could distort. You could rationalize his or her behaviors. Abusive relationships, right? People do this, right? They're getting all this mental and physical abuse. People who don't exit the relationship often will sort of distort the message and say, well, the person was justified in their criticisms. Or they might change their belief to say they're right. I am awful in the ways that he or she is telling me I am. And those would be very unhealthy ways to deal with relentless criticism from a partner. Or you could add new cognitions. You think about new good traits. Not of your partner, of you. Or small. Wait, what? Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you love your partner, but he or she criticizes you. You're tempted to dislike your partner. So one thing you do is you can add cognitions. You think about good traits that your partner has, or small kind behaviors that him or her does that sort of make the criticism seem less bad in comparison. Okay, so these are some examples of dissonance reduction. Let's talk about a case study. So I told you that this Leon Fessender person, don't worry, this Leon Fessender person, who later was a professor at that university, he started out as a professor at the University of Minnesota, which we have no problem with. That's fine. And when he was a professor at the University of Minnesota, he and a couple other people, including Stanley Schachter, who was also a famous social psychologist, the three of them got really interested in this cult that was in Chicago. And it was a doomsday cult. And what they decided to do was study it. And it's a form of research in psychology that's uncommon, but in sociology it's more common. It's participant observation. They decided, this sounds like a really fascinating cult. They'd seen the ad in the paper, they heard something about it. They're like, let's go study this. Let's go study some extreme behavior, extreme group behavior. Maybe we'll learn something from this. So what they did was they went to Chicago and joined up with this cult, and then they paid some research assistants to also sign up. And the leader of this cult, there were two leaders, but we'll focus on the female leader of the cult. She was kind of the main leader, Mrs. Keach. And she, this doomsday cult, believed that there were these people, these aliens called the Guardians. And Mrs. Keach would communicate with these guardians. No one else could hear them, but she could. And she would transcribe their messages in kind of like these free writing, sort of furious sort of sessions where she would write. And everybody else in the cult would be like, oh my God, what are the guardians saying? And the guardians warned about a great flood, but they promised that in this great flood they would save believers, people who believed in the guardians. Okay? So the people got together one night, the night before the big flood, and they're hoping that a UFO is going to come down and save them, because this is what Mrs. Keach has written out in one of her sessions, right? And they get together, Mrs. Keach is like, okay, apparently the guardians are saying you need to get rid of all the metal, any metal you're wearing on your body, and there's like 10 minutes left right before midnight when the great flood is going to happen and engulf and destroy the entire world, including Chicago. And the guardians are going to come down and save us. We got like 8, 9 minutes, something like that. And she's like, okay, we got to get rid of all the metal. And they're like tearing off the metal from their bodies. They're tearing off buttons and zippers and stuff, which is a pretty weird image. And then 1 clock passes midnight, and they're like, okay, weirdly, there's no flood and no aliens picking us up to save us from the flood. What's going on? So nothing happens, and so this causes great dissonance, right? They're like, we've been believing this for a long time, we've invested in this cult, and now there's no alien spaceship, there's no flood, great cognitive dissonance. So what do they decide? The clock is wrong. That clock is right, the one that's slower. So then they start paying attention to that clock, and they wait for that clock to hit midnight. And then finally it hits midnight, and both clocks pass midnight, the prophecy fails. And when Fessinger wrote up a book about this with his 2 colleagues, they called it When Prophecy Fails. And this is really where the study starts. So they don't know what to do. They're freaking out. One person gets up, walks out. It's just like, this is bullshit. A few hours later, most people stay though because they've invested so much in believing in this cult, right? So a few hours later, Keach starts writing an explanation for the Guardians. She gets one of these sessions. The Guardians are speaking to her. And what she hears is their faith had saved the world from the flood. Because they believed so much in the aliens that were going to come and save them, the Guardians, the flood didn't happen and they were spared. Which doesn't make any sense because the Guardians weren't supposed to be in charge of the flood, I don't think, but well, whatever, it really doesn't make any sense. So the group, which was now being covered by the media, and the media was kind of like sitting there chuckling like, all right, we're going to get a good story in the morning when the flood doesn't happen. They hastily put together a sort of clumsy press release and tell the media that their faith saved the world. So why did they do this? The prophecy failed. Shouldn't they have all done what the first guy did and just jumped up and said, this is BS and left? Why is it? Why didn't they stick it out? Why did they hang around for a few more hours for Keach to come up with some kind of explanation? And why did they then believe that explanation? Well, here's what a couple people said. One person said, I have to believe that the flood is coming because I spent all my money. I quit my job. I quit computer school. I have to believe. Okay, I've given up, another person said, I've given up just about everything I have. I've cut every tie, I've burned every bridge, I've turned my back on the world, I can't afford to doubt, I have to believe, and there isn't any other truth. And so they're just spelling it out, right? They're just spelling out cognitive dissonance theory. I have 2 cognitions that this didn't happen, and it would, because Guardians are real. I need to believe this one for a variety of reasons, therefore when the 2 are in conflict, I'm sticking with the one I'm more invested in. The guy who walked out, probably not so much, right? Okay, one other case study. The 1755 Lisbon earthquake, have you ever heard of this? Okay, this was like the biggest recorded earthquake in human history, I believe. It was 9 on the Richter scale, or estimated historically. That's unbelievable, right? That's horrific. Levels Lisbon in Portugal. Totally destroys it. Here's a picture of that. Not pretty. I don't think, yeah, okay, so that's exactly, that was a photograph, actually. Okay, so there were widespread effects of the Lisbon earthquake, which challenged people's sensibilities about the world. First, there was systematic seismological research. Seismology is an area I started because people wanted to stop this from happening again. I just threw that in there because I find it interesting. But also, there's this huge effect on philosophy and the Enlightenment. Famous philosophers, moral philosophers like Rousseau, Kant, Voltaire wrote about it and were heavily influenced by it. And what it did was it threatened people's belief in God. And in a way, it had a permanent effect on European intellectual thinking because it created this question, which was the question of theodicy. How could this level of evil exist in a world governed by God? How can a benevolent, omnipotent God exist if terrible things like the Lisbon earthquake happen to good people? They looked at the Lisbon earthquake and they saw nothing good in it, and it challenged the fiber of their moral fabric, their religious beliefs. And in a way, it was the birth of modern secularism, which is a tradition that continues in European intellectual thought, and the birth of moral philosophy independent of religion. And it happened from an earthquake that created cognitive dissonance. So that's it for today. We'll resume on Tuesday. And please get the attendance sheets in. Make sure you're on there and get your assignment in if you haven't already. And have a great weekend.